Iranian lawmakers are calling on the government to give a definitive response to U.S. Undersecretary of State for Political Affairs Wendy Sherman for her recent remarks. Over 200 lawmakers have signed a statement denouncing the top U.S. negotiator. They say her disrespectful remarks echo those of Washington's and his, quote, arrogant and satanic attitude. Sherman had said the Geneva nuclear deal with Tehran was not perfect, but it does freeze and roll back its program in significant ways. Sherman also warned foreign companies heading to Iran that the country is not open for business yet. Under the Geneva deal, Iran has agreed to limit its nuclear activities in return for the partial lifting of illegal Western sanctions. That until a final agreement is reached over its nuclear energy program within 6 months. The deal went into force on January the 20th. Professor of University of Tehran, Mr. Foad Izadi, joins us on the line from the Iranian capital with more insight on that story. Professor Izadi, what do you make of the recent comments by U.S. officials?
Well, besides the quotes that you had from Wendy Sherman, she, in a previous meeting at Congress, this hearing, had said that there is deception in the DNA of Iranians, which is another very, I guess, racist remark by an American official. And what is happening basically in Iran is that these sentences that American officials use, especially the military threat sentences, the idea of all the options are on the table and we may be able to use them and we may actually attack Iran. These sentences are translated into Farsi, and Iranian people are hearing these things, and what the people here are wondering is that if the U.S. government wants to reach a deal with Iran, why are they not reducing this type of rhetoric against the Iranian people? When you say Iranians' the DNA has deception, you're not just talking about the government, you're talking about 80 million people that live in this country. So we see this type of double talk. On one hand, we see American officials talking about the idea of reaching an agreement with Iran. On the other hand, they are talking in a way that is quite negative and unproductive. And the end result is that people are wondering whether Americans are genuine with regard to their first type of rhetoric. And this is basically hurting these Geneva negotiations and the agreement that is supposed to be reached between Iran and the other side.
And that's along the lines of my next question. How would you describe the U.S.'s demeanor towards Iran and towards the negotiations ever since that historic deal was reached in Geneva last year?
Well, you know, as part of the agreement, both sides are supposed to negotiate in good faith. This is a quote from the agreement. And when you see one side is threatening to attack the other side militarily, which is against the law, against international law. Article 1 of UN Charter says that use of threat or use of force toward another country is illegal. It's not use of force that is illegal by itself. Threat is also illegal. So whenever you hear Obama or Kerry or Sherman or Cohen talking about all the options being on the table, they are basically violating UN Charter. And that Kerry or Sherman or Cohen talking about all the options being on the table, they are basically violating UN Charter. And that's something to remember. And then people here are wondering, the other side is already violating a law that they are part of. The United States government is part of the United Nations. They have said that they are going to abide by the UN Charter. They are violating the UN Charter basically on a daily basis. And the question that a lot of people here have is that if we find another agreement with these type of people, how much they are going to adhere to that agreement.
Professor Foad Izadi joining us on the line from Tehran. Thank you very much for your comments, sir.